We resume our studies in the Gospel of Mark as we read together chapter 9, verses 38 to 42. Here then is what Mark records. "Teacher," said John, "we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we told him to stop, because he was not one of us." "Do not stop him," Jesus said, "for no one who does a miracle in my name can in the next moment say anything bad about me, for whoever is not against us is for us. Truly I tell you, anyone who gives you a cup of water in my name, because you belong to the Messiah, will certainly not lose their reward. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them if a large millstone were hung round their neck and they were thrown into the sea." Now today's study will be shorter than most of the others. However, I did not want to lose sight of what Jesus teaches here by combining it with another study. What Jesus says about discipleship is vitally important, and too important to be submerged within another talk. Sometimes, if we have tender consciences, and especially if we're serious about listening for and to God, we can find our consciences pricked. We can begin to discover there are areas of our lives that are not consistent with what we profess. Jesus' little band of followers have shown themselves as increasingly committed to him, but they have just been listening to Jesus' words recorded in the previous verses. Words that had challenged them to find a place for the least and lowest in society, and to recognize that this was a fundamental evidence of being his true followers. This appears to have been true of John, and to have troubled him as he recalled the scenario described when he and others had opposed someone apparently seeking to follow Jesus, but who was not part of the exclusive little band who were living with Jesus. It may have been that John began to feel that perhaps he and the others had done wrong, or was he trying to justify what he'd done? We cannot actually be sure, but the issue was an important one, since it's part of Jesus' final instructions, as recorded in Mark. That being the case, both Jesus and Mark believed that this discussion was very, very important. Jesus teaches here that all his disciples have an obligation to encourage and nurture all those who are genuinely seeking to follow him. The story seems to imply that this person was genuine. In Jesus' name, he was trying to do Jesus' works as far as he understood them. Now, there may be a hint that he was going about it in the wrong way. Jesus always sought to avoid the wonder worker label, and this person had not been authorized by Jesus to do what he was doing. However, Jesus' comments seem to suggest that he was, in a real sense, one of us. Condemnation and censure were, therefore, out of place. And this is important. Young and immature disciples are often and rightly very zealous. With their new commitments follows a passion for the right way and the right way of doing it. These are, of course, noble ambitions and arise from a recognition that there is a right way. Jesus doesn't criticize the zeal or deny the importance of believing correctly and acting rightly, but he does know that there are dangers in doing so. And one of those dangers is highlighted here. The early steps of disciples can lead to a superior and exclusive attitude, that's less concerned with the person and their nurture than self-justifying criticism and condemnation. Jesus' point then is that truth is vital and correct conduct important, but so is a love which reaches out to those who may not dot our I's or cross our T's, but who are on the same pilgrim path. But Jesus makes a further point. The wrong attitudes of his followers to others may place obstacles in the way of their own spiritual growth. This emphasizes our point. The disciples are warned to treat such people as vulnerable little ones. They can be easily wronged, indeed all too easily wronged, and driven away from Jesus by incompetent handling. And such mishandling brings Jesus' sternest censor. The horrendous form of death sentence described here was apparently familiar to Galileans under Roman occupation, and is graphic in its implication of divine disapproval. So Jesus says that nurturing people and ourselves spiritually requires finesse and tenderness. It cannot be undertaken by those who are preoccupied with their own status or rights. Yet it is vital we get this right. Only in this way can we truly disciple those who come across our path, and only in this way can we gain divine approval. This is a solemn little passage. Once again, the subject is that which asks the question, what does following Jesus look like? As such, it's a warning to those who've already, like the disciples, started to accompany Jesus. But it's also a lesson for those considering following him. Jesus' kingdom is, as we noticed in our last study, countercultural. Following him means serving, and in that serving, there is to be a tenderness and love shown to all, especially those who are still babies in their spiritual life.